The lights on the bridge of the Vicari research ship. Harmony's light flickered once, twice, then died completely. Captain SCI felt his 4 hearts skip a beat as the gentle hum of the engine stopped. In the sudden silence, only the soft breathing of his crew could be heard. What happened? SCI asked, his voice calm despite the fear growing in his chest. His blue skin had turned a pale shade of green, something that happened to his species when they were scared. Science officer Kel Wren looked up from her station with wide eyes. The main engine just stopped working, Captain. I don't know why. All systems were normal, then everything just shut down. The ship drifted in the empty space of the Kepler 442 system. They had come here to study the strange plants on the 3rd planet, but now they were stuck. The Harmony's light was a small research vessel with only 12 crew members. It was built for science, not for emergencies like this. SCI walked to the main screen and looked out at the red clouds of the Crimson Nebula that surrounded their system. The nebula was beautiful but deadly. Its red gas clouds hid dangerous radiation and gravity storms that could crush a ship. Most species in the galaxy stayed far away from places like this. How long do we have? The captain asked. Engineer Morthak checked his computer. Life support will last for 3 days, maybe less. The backup power is working, but it won't last long. SCI felt cold. 3 days, that was not much time. They were far from any major shipping routes. The Crimson Nebula scared most pilots away. Even if someone got their distress call, would they come? Would they be brave enough to enter this dangerous place? Send out a distress signal on all frequencies, SCI ordered. Tell everyone where we are and that we need help. Communications. Officer Teldon started working on the message. Her 6 fingers moved quickly over the controls. Message ready, Captain. Send it, SCI said. The signal went out into space, carrying their cry for help to anyone who might be listening. The crew waited and hoped that someone would hear them far away. In the clean white halls of the Alterian Federation Command Center, Admiral Cordy Seth received the distress call. He looked at the location and shook his head. The Kepler 442 system was deep inside the Crimson Nebula. His people called places like that death zones. Sir, should we send a rescue ship? Asked his aide. Admiral Cor Sith thought about it. The Alterians had fast ships and good technology, but the nebula was too dangerous. They had lost 3 ships there in the past 50 years. No, he said finally, the risk is too great. We cannot lose more ships and crews for 12 people. The same scene played out across the galaxy. The Christech Collective received the signal and decided it was too dangerous. The Braxton Empire got the message, but said the cost was too high. One by one, every major power in the galaxy heard the call for help and turned away. The Vicari were known as peaceful scientists. They had friends across the galaxy, but friendship only went so far. No one wanted to risk their ships and crews in the Crimson Nebula. On the edge of known space, far from the busy trade routes and political centers, a different kind of ship picked up the signal. The human exploration vessel, USS Defiant, was patrolling the Outer Rim, looking for new worlds and making maps of unknown space. Commander Jake Morrison was in his quarters when the communication officer called him to the bridge. Morrison was a tall man with brown hair and serious eyes. He had been in space for 15 years, and he had seen many strange things. What do you have for me, Amy? He asked communications officer Amy Foster. Amy was a young woman with red hair and a quick smile. She had been working with alien languages for 3 years. We picked up a distress call, sir. It's from a Vicari research ship in the Kepler 442 system. Morrison knew about the Vicari. They were a peaceful species that spent most of their time studying plants and animals on different worlds. How many people? 12 crew members. Their engines failed, and they have about 3 days of life support left. Morrison walked to the star map and found the system. It was deep inside the Crimson Nebula, a place most species avoided. The nebula was full of radiation storms and gravity, wells that could tear a ship apart. Have any other ships responded? Morrison asked. Amy checked her computer. No, sir. The signal has been out for 6 hours, but no one has answered. Tactical Officer Lisa Grant looked up from her station. Lisa was a smart woman with black hair and sharp eyes. She had studied every alien species in the galaxy. Sir, the nebula is very dangerous. Most species consider it impossible to cross safely. Morrison nodded. He understood why other ships had not responded. The Crimson Nebula was dangerous, but humans had faced dangerous things before. Earth itself was considered a death world. By most aliens, humans had learned to live with danger. Get me the fleet commanders, Morrison ordered. Within minutes, the faces of the other human ship captains appeared on the main screen. Captain Kate Sullivan commanded the assault carrier, Phoenix. She was a tough woman with gray hair and scars on her hands from years of military service. Captain Tony Miller ran the cruiser Thunderbolt. He was a calm man who never got excited, even in battle. Did you all get the distress call? Morrison asked. Yes, Kate said. 12 people stuck in the nebula. Everyone else is too scared to help. The radiation levels are high, Tony added. But our ships can handle it. The real problem is the gravity storms. Morrison looked at his officers. He could see they were thinking the same thing he was. 12 people were going to die if no one helped them. It did not matter that they were aliens. It did not matter that the mission was dangerous. People needed help. How long to reach them? Morrison asked. Navigator Sam Hughes checked his charts. Sam was a young man who was very good with numbers and star maps. 18 hours if we push the engines hard. That gives us time to spare, Morrison said. All ships, prepare for departure. We're going in. The human fleet began to move toward the Crimson Nebula. 6 ships against one of the most dangerous regions in known space. The galaxy watched and waited to see what would happen when the Deathworlders answered the call. The human fleet moved through space like a pack of metal wolves. 6 ships in total, each one built like a fortress that could fight both enemies and the universe itself. The USS Defiant led the way, followed by the assault carrier Phoenix, the cruiser Thunderbolt, the destroyer Lightning, the supply ship Horizon, and the medical vessel Mercy. Dr. Alex Murphy stood in the science lab of the Defiant, looking at data about the Vekari species. Alex was a thin man with glasses who had spent years studying alien life forms. He knew more about other species than most humans, and what he knew made him understand why the galaxy feared his people. Computer, show me environmental data for the Viari homeworld. Alex said. The screen lit up with information. The Vekari planet was a gentle world with soft gravity, clean air, and mild weather. The strongest storms there were like gentle spring rain on Earth. The radiation levels were so low that humans would need special protection, just to avoid getting too much energy. Alex shook his head. The Vekari had evolved in paradise compared to Earth. Their bodies were designed for peace and safety, not survival. That was why the radiation in the Crimson Nebula was killing them slowly. What was deadly to them was just uncomfortable to humans. On the bridge of the Phoenix, Captain Kate Sullivan checked her ship's weapons and defenses. Kate had been a soldier for 20 years before becoming a ship captain. She had fought in wars, on planets where the air could burn your lungs and the ground could melt your boots. How are we looking, Ryan? She asked Chief Engineer Ryan Clark. Ryan was a big man with strong hands and a beard. He had worked on ships in the deepest parts of space, where one mistake could kill everyone. All systems green, Captain. The radiation. Shields are holding fine. This nebula is rough, but we've seen worse. Kate nodded. Humans had built their ships to work in places other species could not even imagine. The hull of the Phoenix was made from metals that could survive in the core of a gas giant. The engines could run on fuel so dangerous that most aliens would not even store it on their planets. The crew? Kate asked. Ready for anything, Ryan said. You know how it is. We grew up breathing poison and drinking acid rain. This nebula is just another Tuesday for us. Kate smiled. Ryan was right. What the galaxy called impossible, humans called normal. Earth had taught them that the universe was always trying to kill you, so you had better be ready to fight back. In the medical bay of the Mercy, Dr. Lavra Hayes prepared for the rescue. Lavra was a doctor who had worked in the worst places humans had ever found. She had saved lives on planets where the bacteria in the air could eat through metal. Amy, what do we know about Vicari biology? Lavra asked her assistant. Medical assistant Amy Foster pulled up the files. They have 4 hearts, blue blood, and very sensitive skin. The radiation in the nebula is like poison to them. Their immune systems are shutting down. Lavra looked at the data. The Vicari were dying from radiation that was barely strong enough to give a human a suntan. Their bodies had never learned to fight against a hostile environment because they had never needed to. Prepare the isolation chambers, Lavra said. We'll need to protect them from our own environment once we get them aboard. Our air might be too strong for them. This was something humans had learned quickly when they first met aliens. Most species found Earth's environment deadly. The oxygen levels that humans needed would burn alien lungs. The gravity that felt normal to humans would crush alien bones. Even human germs were dangerous to species that had evolved in clean, safe worlds. On the destroyer Lightning, Colonel Beth Stone prepared her Marines for possible combat. Beth was a small woman, but she was strong and fast. She had led soldiers in battles on worlds where the ground was made of acid and the sky rained fire. Listen up, she told her squad. We don't know what we'll find in there. The nebula might have pirates or worse. Stay sharp and stay ready. Sergeant Mike Torres checked his weapon. Mike had fought on planets where the air pressure could crush a normal human. His armor was designed to work in environments that would kill most life forms in seconds. What about the aliens, Colonel? Mike asked. The Vicari we're rescuing? Handle them like they're made of glass, Beth said. Our normal touch could break their bones. Our breath could poison them. We're giants to them, and we need to remember that. The Marines nodded. They had trained for this. Humans were apex predators from a death world, and they had to be careful around species that evolved in safer places. Navigator. Sam Hughes plotted their course through the nebula. The red clouds around them were full of gravity storms and radiation bursts. Sam had navigated through asteroid fields and solar flares, but this was still challenging. How does it look, Sam? Commander Morrison asked. The storms are bad, but not impossible, Sam said. The real problem is that the nebula changes every few hours. What's safe now might be deadly in an hour. Morrison watched the red clouds swirl around them. Other species saw chaos in death. Humans saw just another puzzle to solve. Earth had taught them that nature was always changing, always trying to kill you. The trick was to adapt faster than it could change. Communications. Any word from thee? Other fleets? Morrison asked. Amy Foster checked her equipment. The Alterian fleet turned back 6 hours ago. The Christek ships never even entered the nebula. We're the only ones still coming. Morrison was not surprised. The galaxy was full of species that had evolved in safe, comfortable worlds. They had never learned to take risks or face danger. When something was hard, they gave up. Humans were different. Earth had been trying to kill them for millions of years, and they had not just survived, but thrived. They had learned to see opportunity where others saw only death. Time to target? Morrison asked. 14 hours, Sam said. Morrison looked at the swirling red clouds ahead of them. Somewhere in that deadly maze, 12 people were waiting to die. But they would not die today. The Deathworlders were cunning, and they did not give up. The red clouds of the Crimson Nebula wrapped around the human fleet like angry fingers. Lightning flashed between the gas clouds, and waves of radiation washed over the ships. On any other vessel, alarms would be screaming. Crews would be running to emergency stations. But the humans kept working as if nothing was happening. Navigator Sam Hughes watched his instruments as gravity storms twisted space around them. The storms could crush a ship or throw it thousands of miles off course. Most species used computer programs to plot safe paths through areas like this, but Sam did it by feel. He had learned to navigate by watching how birds flew through hurricanes. On Earth, gravity wave coming in from the port side, Sam announced calmly. Adjusting course by 2 degrees. The fleet moved smoothly around the invisible danger. What looked like empty space to other species was full of traps to Sam. He could see the patterns in the chaos, the way his ancestors had read ocean currents and wind patterns. On the bridge of the Phoenix, Captain Kate Sullivan received a priority message. Her communications officer looked worried. "Captain, we're getting a distress signal from inside the nebula. It's not the Vicari ship." Kate frowned. "Who is it?" "Braxton patrol ship Warhammer. They tried to enter the nebula 3 hours ago. Their engines are failing, and they're caught in a radiation storm. The Braxtons were a military species. They were proud warriors who thought they were the strongest race in the galaxy. Their ships were built for war, with heavy armor and powerful weapons. If they were in trouble, the nebula was worse than anyone had thought." "How many crew?" Kate asked. 47 Braxton soldiers, the officer replied. Kate looked at the tactical display. The Braxton ship was off their planned route, but not by much. She opened a channel to Commander Morrison. "Jake, we have a problem. There's a Braxton patrol ship stuck in the nebula. 47 people." Morrison's voice came back steady and calm. "Can we reach them?" "Yes, but it will cost us time. Maybe 2 hours." Morrison did not hesitate. "We don't leave people behind. All ships, new course. We're picking up the Braxtons first." The fleet changed direction toward the trapped warship. In the command centers of a dozen alien governments, military leaders watched in shock. The humans were risking their mission to save people who had not even asked for help. Commander Tony Miller of the Thunderbolt studied the sensor readings from the Braxton ship. The Warhammer was a heavy cruiser designed to fight other warships. It was twice the size of any human vessel and covered in thick armor. But it was helpless against the nebula. "Their problem is heat," Tony told his crew. "The radiation is cooking them from the inside. Their cooling systems can't handle it." Chief Engineer Ryan Clark laughed. "Their cooling systems? We don't even have cooling systems. We just open the windows." It was almost true. Human ships were designed to work in the heat of a star or the cold of deep space. The crew areas stayed comfortable, but the engines and weapons could run hot enough to melt most metals as they got closer to the Braxton ship. The human fleet began to see how bad things were. The Warhammer was drifting with its engines dark. Pieces of armor were falling off as the metal expanded from heat. Emergency lights flashed weakly through the viewports. "Open a channel," Morrison ordered. The face of Captain Gorak appeared on the screen. The Braxton was a large creature with gray skin and sharp teeth. His species was known for being fierce warriors, but now Gorak looked scared and tired. "Human ship, this is Captain Gorak of the Braxton Navy. We we need help." Morrison could hear the shame in the alien's voice. The Braxtons were proud. Asking for help from anyone was hard for them. Asking for help from humans, who they saw as weak newcomers, was worse. We're here to help, Captain. What's your status? Life support is failing. The heat is killing my crew. We have maybe 1 hour before Gorak stopped. He did not want to say the words. We'll get you out, Morrison promised. Prepare your crew for evacuation. The human ships moved in around the dying Braxton vessel. Dr. Lara Hayes prepared the medical bay of the Mercy for Braxton physiology. The aliens were larger than humans and needed different air mixtures. Their normal body temperature is lower than ours, Lara told her staff. What feels comfortable to us will feel like a fever to them. And be careful with the gravity. They're used to heavier worlds. Engineering teams from the horizon prepared to board the Braxton ship. The humans wore light protective suits, not because they needed them, but because their normal body heat might hurt the aliens. Colonel Beth Stone led the evacuation team. As they docked with the Warhammer, she could feel the heat through the airlock. The temperature inside the Braxton ship was hot enough to cook food. Masks on, she told her team. The air in there might be toxic to them by now. They entered the Braxton ship and found chaos. The crew was lying on the floor, overcome by heat that felt like a warm day to the humans. Some of the aliens were unconscious. Others were barely able to move. Sergeant Mike Torres picked up a Braxton soldier, who weighed twice as much as he did. The alien was burning with fever and mumbling in his native language. Easy, big guy, Mike said gently. We've got you. The evacuation took 30 minutes. The humans worked quickly but carefully, treating the Braxton warriors like they were made of glass. Every alien was brought aboard the human ships and given medical care. Captain Garak was the last to leave his ship. He looked at the humans who had saved his crew and shook his head in wonder. How? He asked Morrison. How do you work in that heat? Our ship is like an oven. Morrison shrugged. We're from a hot planet. This feels normal to us. As the human fleet moved away from the dead Braxton ship, word spread across the galaxy. The Deathworlders had not only entered the Crimson Nebula, but had stopped to rescue a military patrol that had failed where they succeeded in the command centers of every major power. Alien leaders asked the same question. What kind of beings could work comfortably in conditions that would kill trained soldiers? The answer was simple, but hard to believe. They were humans, and they were just getting started. The Harmony's light drifted like a dying fish in the red glow of the nebula. Captain Sci-Fi watched the power readings drop lower every hour. 2 days had passed since their engine failed, and his crew was getting weaker from the radiation. Captain, Communications Officer Telvan said in a weak voice, I'm getting a signal. Someone is coming. Sci-Fi felt hope rise in his chest. Who is it? Alterian? Christek? Telvan looked confused as she read her instruments. The signal says ... human ships. 6 vessels approaching our position. Humans? Science Officer Kelrin looked up from her station. But humans are just myths. Stories about creatures from a death world. Sci-Fi had heard the stories too. Tales of beings from a planet so dangerous that it would kill most life forms just by breathing its air. The stories said humans were giants who could survive anything and fight anyone. But they were just stories. The signal is real, Telvan insisted. They say they will reach us in 2 hours. On the bridge of the USS Defiant, Commander Morrison studied the Valkyrie ship through his sensors. The small research vessel looked like it was barely holding together. Radiation had damaged its hull, and several systems had failed. Life signs? Morrison asked. Dr. Alex Murphy checked his readings. 12 Valkyrie, all alive but getting sick. Fast. The radiation is poisoning them slowly. They need help soon. Morrison nodded. Kate, Tony, prepare for boarding operations. We're going in. The human fleet approached the dying ship carefully. The area around the Harmony's light was full of dangerous energy fields. One wrong move could damage both ships. Navigator Sam Hughes guided the Defiant closer. 50 meters and closing. The radiation is pretty thick here, but nothing we can't handle. Dr. Laverhayes prepared the medical bay for alien patients. She had studied Vakari biology during the flight and knew what to expect. Their bodies were fragile compared to humans. What seemed like gentle care to her might be too rough for them. Remember, she told her medical team, their bones break easily, and their skin burns from contact with most human materials. Use the soft-touch gloves and keep the room temperature low. Colonel Beth Stone suited up for the boarding mission. She would lead a small team to the Vakari ship, while Dr. Alex Murphy assessed their medical needs. Engineer Nicole Brooks would check their systems to see what could be fixed. Nicole was a smart woman who could fix almost anything. She had worked on alien technology before, but each species built things differently. The challenge was always figuring out how their minds worked. Ready when you are, Colonel, Nicole said, checking her tools. I've studied their engine designs. Looks like they use clean fusion, nothing dangerous. Should be easy to work with. The boarding team moved to the airlock connecting the two ships. As soon as they entered the Vakari vessel, they could feel the radiation levels. It was like standing in warm sunlight to the humans, but it was killing the aliens slowly. Captain Zephyr was waiting for them in the corridor. When he saw the humans, his eyes went wide. Morrison was tall and strong, wearing armor that could stop bullets. Beth Stone moved like a predator, every step controlled and ready. Nicole Brooks carried tools that looked like weapons to alien eyes. You are real, Zephyr whispered. The humans from the Deathworld Stories. Morrison removed his helmet, showing his human face. We're real, Captain, and we're here to help. The Vakari captain stared at Morrison. The human looked normal enough, but there was something in his eyes. A hardness. A strength that came from surviving in a world that tried to kill you every day. Dr. Alex Murphy began examining the Vakari crew. They were all suffering from radiation sickness, but it was mild by human standards. Alex had seen much worse in his own species. This is going to feel strange, Alex warned as he used his medical scanner on Science Officer Kelrin. Our medicine is stronger than what you're used to. Kelrin watched the human doctor work. Alex moved with confidence and skill, but also with a gentleness that surprised her. She had expected the Deathworld creatures to be rough and violent. Meanwhile, Nicole Brooks studied the Vakari engine room. The technology was advanced, but delicate. Everything was built for efficiency and safety, not for survival in hostile conditions. I see the problem, Nicole told Engineer Morthic. Your power coupling cracked under radiation stress. Your people build things to last, but not to take damage. Morthic watched as Nicole pulled out human repair tools. They looked crude compared to Vakari equipment, but they worked. Within an hour, Nicole had the engines running again. How? Morthic asked. Our best engineers said this would take days to fix. Nicole smiled. Human engineering. We build things to break and fix them fast. Your people build things to never break, so when they do, you don't know how to fix them quickly. Captain Zephyr walked with Commander Morrison through his ship. The human moved carefully, aware that his normal steps might shake the delicate vessel. Your ships, Zephyr said. They look like weapons. They have to be, Morrison explained. Space is dangerous. Our home world taught us that the universe is always trying to kill you. So we build our ships to fight back. As the repair work continued, the Vakari crew watched the humans with amazement. These beings worked in radiation It was slowly killing the Vicari. They fixed complex problems with simple tools. They moved through danger like it was nothing. Dr. Alex Murphy finished treating the last crew member. "You'll all recover fully," he told SCI. "But you need to get out of this nebula soon. Another day here would have killed you." "And you?" SCI asked. "This radiation affects you too?" Alex shrugged. "We'll get sunburns. Maybe some of us will feel tired, but our bodies can handle much worse than this." The boarding team prepared to return to their ship. The Vicari vessel was repaired and ready to leave the nebula. But something had changed during the rescue. The Vicari had seen humans up close. They had watched Deathworld creatures work with skill and kindness. Commander Morrison, SCI called out as the humans prepared to leave. "Thank you, but I must ask... why did you come? Why risk your ships for people you do not know?" Morrison paused at the airlock. "Because you needed help. That's what people do for each other." As the human fleet escorted the Harmony's light out of the Crimson Nebula, word of the rescue spread across the galaxy. The stories were no longer myths. The humans were real, and they had just done the impossible. News of the rescue traveled faster than the human fleet could fly. Across the galaxy, in government buildings and military command centers, alien leaders watched the reports with growing concern. The beings they had thought were myths had just done something no one else would attempt. On the Alterian homeworld, President Veltar sat in his office reading classified reports about Earth. The planet was listed in their files as a Class 14 death world, the most dangerous category they had. According to the data, nothing should be able to live there. "Show me the environmental readings again." Veltar told his science advisor. The hologram displayed Earth statistics. Gravity was twice what most species could survive. The atmosphere was 21% oxygen, a gas so reactive it would burn alien lungs. The weather included storms that could level cities and temperatures that ranged from boiling to freezing. "And they call this home?" Veltar asked. "Sir, it gets worse. The planet has active volcanoes, earthquakes, and radiation from their star that would kill most life forms. The oceans are so deep they create pressure that would crush our strongest ships." Veltar looked at the images of human cities built next to active volcanoes and along earthquake lines. These beings lived with daily dangers that would make his people abandon entire worlds. On the Christek homeworld, High Council Director Quindle studied biological reports about humans. The data made no sense to his scientific mind. "Their muscle density is 3 times normal," reported Chief Scientist Air Vevel. "Their bones are reinforced with metal compounds. Their blood carries oxygen so efficiently they can work in environments with almost no air." "What about their intelligence?" Quindle asked. "High problem-solving ability, especially under stress. They seem to think better when things are dangerous. Most remarkable is their ability to adapt. Put them in a new environment, and they learn to survive in it within days." Quindle studied the reports. "And their ships? Built like fortresses. Heavy armor, powerful weapons, and systems that can work in conditions that would destroy our best technology. They design everything expecting it to be damaged and need quick repairs." In the Braxton Empire, General Kroshun received reports from Captain Gurak about his rescue. The proud warrior was still recovering from his experience in the Crimson Nebula. "Tell me again about their strength," Kroshun ordered. "General, one human soldier picked up 3 of my warriors at once. They moved through heat that was killing my crew like it was nothing. Their medic treated radiation sickness that our doctor said was fatal." Kroshun looked at tactical reports about human military capability. "Their weapons? Simple but effective. They don't rely on complex technology. Everything they build can work even when damaged. Their soldiers fight like they expect to be hurt and keep fighting anyway. The generals studied the data. The Braxons prided themselves on being the galaxy's strongest warriors, but these humans might be stronger. More importantly, they seemed to be tougher. Meanwhile, Captain SOS of the rescued Vicari ship was giving his own report to the Vicari Science Council. The 12 council members listened in amazement as he described the rescue. They worked in radiation levels that were killing us, SOS explained. One of their engineers fixed our engines in an hour using tools that looked like metal clubs. Their doctor treated 12 cases of radiation poisoning like it was a common cold. Council leader Valfara leaned forward. What were they like, as people? Gentle, SOS said, surprising everyone. They were careful with us. They knew we were fragile and treated us like we were made of crystal. But underneath that gentleness was strength. You could see it in how they moved, how they thought. Strength? They expect everything to try to kill them. They plan for disaster. But they don't let fear stop them from helping others. When they saw we needed help, they came without question. The council members exchanged glances. This was not what they had expected to hear about Deathworld creatures. On Earth, Admiral Chris Walker received reports from Commander Morrison's fleet. The rescue mission had succeeded, but the real impact was just beginning. Messages were pouring in from every major government in the galaxy. Sir, we have 17 requests for formal diplomatic contact, reported his aide. The Vicari want to establish an alliance. The Christek want to discuss technology sharing. Even the Braxons are asking about military cooperation. Walker studied the star charts. For years, humans had been ignored by the galaxy's major powers. They were seen as newcomers from an unknown world. Now, suddenly, everyone wanted to talk to them. What about the rescue fleet? Still escorting the Vicari ship home. Commander Morrison reports all crew are healthy and ships are undamaged. Walker nodded. The fleet had flown through one of the galaxy's most dangerous regions, rescued 2 ships, and come out without a scratch. To humans, it was just another mission. To the galaxy, it was impossible. In the academic centers of a dozen worlds, scientists were studying every piece of data they could find about humans. Dr. Vel Karras of the Galactic University had spent days analyzing the rescue mission. Their approach to danger is completely different, she told her research team. Most species avoid risk. Humans analyze it, prepare for it, then proceed anyway. Why? Asked her assistant. Because their world taught them that safety is an illusion. Everything in their environment was trying to kill them, so they learned to be tougher than their environment. The research team studied video footage of the human ships moving through the Crimson Nebula. Where other species saw death, humans saw just another challenge to overcome. Back in space, the human fleet continued its journey home with the rescued Vicari. Commander Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, reading reports from Earth about the galactic reaction to their mission. Seems like we've caused quite a stir, he told Dr. Alex Murphy. They're scared, Alex replied. Most species in the galaxy evolved in safe environments. They can't understand beings who thrive in danger. And what do you think will happen? Alex smiled. I think they're going to realize that having friends from a death world might be useful. The galaxy is a dangerous place, and sometimes you need people who aren't afraid of danger. Morrison looked out at the stars. For the first time in human history, the galaxy was paying attention to Earth. The rescue mission had shown everyone that humans were more than just myths. They were real, they were capable, and they were willing to help. The question now was what the galaxy would do with that knowledge. 3 weeks after the rescue in the Crimson Nebula, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Representatives from every major species gathered on the neutral station of New Geneva. For the first time in galactic history, they were discussing membership for a species from a death world. Captain SOS stood before the assembled delegates. still weak from his ordeal, but determined to speak. His blue skin had returned to its normal color, and his 4 hearts beat steadily thanks to human medical care. Honored delegates, SCI began. I speak today not just as a survivor, but as someone who has seen the true nature of humanity. Alterian representative, Ambassador Corrales, leaned forward. Captain, you ask us to welcome a species that could destroy us all. These humans are apex predators from a world that would kill most of us in hours. That is exactly why we need them, SCI replied. The galaxy is full of dangers we cannot face alone. The Crimson Nebula, the void storms of Sector 7, the radiation fields near the galactic core. These humans go where we cannot. In the observation gallery, Commander Jake Morrison watched the debate with his senior officers. They had been invited to attend, but not to speak. The galaxy was deciding humanity's future without them, at least for now. Think they'll vote yes? Asked Dr. Alex Murphy. Doesn't matter, Morrison replied quietly. We didn't rescue those people for a vote. We did it because it was right. Captain Kate Sullivan smiled. That's exactly why they'll vote yes. They need people who do the right thing even when it's hard. On the main floor, the Christec representative was speaking. The humans have technology we do not understand. Their ships are built like weapons of war. How do we know they will not use that strength against us? The Braxton delegate, General Thurak, stood up. His gray skin bore scars from many battles, and his voice carried the authority of a veteran warrior. I will answer that, he said. 3 weeks ago, my ship and crew were dying in the Crimson Nebula. The humans had no reason to help us. We are military rivals. We have never been allies. Yet they risked their lives to save my soldiers. The general paused, looking around the chamber. They could have taken our weapons and technology when we were helpless. Instead, they gave us medical care and safe passage home. That tells me everything I need to know about their character. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates worried about human military power. Others feared their technology. A few questioned whether any species from a death world could be trusted. But as the arguments went on, more stories emerged. The Vicari had already shared their full rescue report. The Braxton military had submitted their own account. Even the shipping companies were talking about the humans who had helped them with engine problems and navigation issues. Finally, the vote was called. One by one, each species cast their decision. The Vicari voted yes immediately. The Braxtons followed. The Christec took longer, but eventually agreed. Even the cautious Alterians voted to offer humanity full membership in the Galactic Council. When the results were announced, Captain SCI felt relief wash over him. The galaxy had made the right choice. 3 months later, Commander Morrison stood in the newly built human embassy on New Geneva. He wore the uniform of Earth's first galactic ambassador, a role he had never expected to hold. Ready for your first day, sir? Asked his aide, Lieutenant Steve Parker. Morrison looked out the window at the busy space station. Ships from dozens of species came and went, carrying trade goods and diplomatic messages across the galaxy. For the first time, some of those ships were human. As ready as anyone can be, Morrison replied. Any word from the fleet? Captain Sullivan is leading a joint rescue mission with the Alterians in the Beta Sector. The Christec have requested human engineers to help with a mining operation near a pulsar star, and the Vicari want to send their scientists to Earth for environmental training. Morrison smiled. In just 3 months, humans had gone from unknown outsiders to valued partners. The galaxy had discovered that having friends from a death world was very useful. Dr. Alex Murphy had returned to Earth to establish the new Xenobiology Institute. His research on human-alien medical cooperation was already saving lives across known space. Dr. Laura Hayes was training alien doctors in emergency medicine. teaching them techniques that worked even in hostile environments. Colonel Beth Stone was working with the Galactic Military Council, sharing human tactical knowledge and training alien special forces in what they called impossible environment operations. Her Marines had become legends among military personnel from dozens of worlds. Chief Engineer Ryan Clark was leading a team that was revolutionizing ship design across the galaxy. Human engineering principles were being adopted by species who had never thought about building things to be repaired quickly under fire. The real change, though, was in how the galaxy handled emergencies. When disaster struck, when rescue missions seemed impossible, when environmental hazards threatened entire populations, the first call was always the same: get the humans. Morrison's communicator buzzed with an incoming message. Another distress call, this time from a science station trapped in a gravity storm near a black hole. 3 species had already declared the rescue impossible. "Shall I tell them we'll respond, sir?" Lieutenant Parker asked. "Of course," Morrison replied. "Get me Captain Sullivan and tell her to prepare the fleet." As the human ships prepared for another impossible mission, news of their response spread across the galaxy. In government buildings and military command centers, alien leaders felt something they had not experienced in centuries. The confidence that came from knowing someone would always answer the call for help. The SOS had been heard by Deathworlders, and the galaxy was learning what that meant. When others saw impossible odds, humans saw just another job to do. When others gave up hope, humans rolled up their sleeves and got to work. And in the deep space between the stars, where danger and wonder waited in equal measure, it made all the difference.